Hello everybody, it's Zeidoktor here, and this episode of the Typical Manga Review is going to be dedicated to One Piece, Chapter 848, Goodbye. And our opening chapter, we get a color spread page for this week, for the title. And it's the Straw Hats dressed all in red and white snow, with Chopper on top of a giant red teddy bear that is smoking. Right. But the chapter itself begins with hanging up the Big Mom phone snail. The children of Big Mom were laughing at how crazy it is that someone would actually provoke Mama within her castle. Like, seriously. Also, one thing I noticed on here is that the book that they're trapped in, Nami and Luffy, actually have their names written on them on the opposite page. Luffy doesn't care about any of that. He's still screaming at them to fight, while Nami's just kind of staying quiet. This is interrupted by what I can only assume to be one of Big Mom's younger children, Anglius, who's got a whole big wannabe tough guy here going like, "Yo, dog, there's an intruder in the treasure room, and I ain't brushing my damn teeth tonight." He said this while looking like he's not even 10 years old. Meanwhile, there's an intruder in the treasure room, basically what he's reporting. Meanwhile, in the Queen's room, the Cloud homie Prometheus, Zeus rather, I mixed those up. Zeus is asking Big Mom why she's not mad. Like, what, just because some little punk tried to provoke me? Not in a million years. Think about it. Tomorrow I'll be getting my hands on both the Germa and the Tamate box. And on top of that, I'll be getting some sublime wedding cake to snack on. Isn't that right? And down in front of her, desserts, teacups, and all sorts of things are just claiming, yeah, just singing how right that is. Knowing it's all going to go down tomorrow, I feel like I can forgive anything in the world. There's not a single reason to be in a sour mood. Tomorrow will be the best. What a happy day to be. And then, I wonder if he's supposed to be singing that, because they got musical notes on there. I'm not even going to try, because I hate song lyrics in text form. Or at least songs with lyrics within a story. Hate it. Oh, I cannot even. I had a hard time with the early parts of Fellowship of the Ring, thanks to Tom Bombadil and all that. Anyway. Mama's hat gets a signal. Apparently a communicator as well. And is giving her a warning there's an intruder raising a ruckus in the treasure room. Turns out Big Mom does have a single reason to be in a good mood, because she immediately goes nightmare face, screaming about that they better not be after the Tamate box. Which, to be fair, is not what they're after. We move on to the guest room, where Sanji is pacing and smoking and puffing. He's pretty much just trying to convince himself at this point. Get it together. Luffy and the others will be fine. Big Mom promised. Baratie will be fine as well, as long as I go through with this marriage. It's painful to part ways with my friends, but nobody will die. That's the important thing. I have nothing to be disappointed about. I shouldn't be looking this glum, or my only ray of hope pudding will get anxious again. I'd be a sad excuse for a man if I did anything to make that girl unhappy. At which point, he throws on the full... You can clearly tell he's forcing himself here, but he's throwing on the full love cook mode here. Like, yes, I am a cook in love. Putting my seared sweet pudding Chuan. I swear to make you the happiest girl alive. My God, you can tell just how much he's forcing himself. Elsewhere, in Pudding's room, Pudding is hearing about how they had Lola's Vivre card, and how that prevented the homies from even touching her in any way. The maid is telling Pudding that Big Mom did not approve of the wedding dress she selected, and she's gonna pick the dress instead. She's thinking to herself now, like, Pudding, you'll never go wrong if you simply listen to my orders. You're just like a sweet little doll, darling. And then we also see her, she steps out in the rain and kind of gets contemplative. She's also remembering Lola. Apparently back when she was a little girl, she's seeing Lola run off, like, don't worry, she won't kill me, we're family after all. I'll make sure I'll be the one to decide my own marriage. So it's presumably right after right before when Lola goes off to sea. In the treasure room, within Whole Cake Chateau, they're at the treasure room now. We're wondering if anything's been stolen. The treasure room security has been completely wiped out because of Pedro. The one responsible is he's apparently holding a bomb as well, but he's also just cutting his way through everyone he can. He's even running on the walls and stealing to just kind of give them a hard time. So it's actually really awesome. This is going to be fun to watch animated. Of course, right? It's when he bypasses everybody, he drops the bomb and just blows them all to hell. At this point, though, Baron Tamago is definitely going after Pedro specifically now. Like I said, he's around the courtyard. The They're planning to corner him there. But then they get a call from another one from Smoothie, who reports that there's a second intruder, and reveals that Pedro is basically just a decoy. The problem is that Brooke took them by surprise, got inside the treasure room, and even locked them out. So Smoothie's like, that was pretty much my goof, my bad. Yeah, but the treasure room unfortunately has only a single entrance inside of it, so there's only one way for Brooke to get out of there. So they keep an eye, like I said, but Tamako specifically, because she described Brooke as all nothing but bones. Baron Tamako instructs her to do everything short of killing him to stop him, because Mom was going to want him in her collection. Within the treasure chamber, Brooke isn't completely alone. He's still got a few guys in there, some guards and some homies. And they're ready to charge him because they know Mama will love a gift like him. And Brooke reveals that what he knows from Pedro, that these barbarian chess soldiers are controlled by souls that Big Mom inserted into their bodies using her ability. In other words, you all are individuals that act based on what your soul tells you. And he does that, he's whipping out his guitar. Like, don't you know what I go by in the industry? They call me the Soul King. And he starts playing music, the homies just like drop like flies. We get a nice little thing of Brooke like looking like a haunting ghost, but an image of Brooke as a haunting ghost directly behind him too. It only makes sense that souls merely cast into the wrong bodies like yours have not a chance of standing up against the obstinate nature of my screaming soul. So Brooke is basically like just downing the homies. Back in the prisoner's library, Pudding appears. She's speaking to Opera and asks permission to speak with Luffy and Nami. Like, Opera's like, huh? Oh, alright, sure. Like, one of the chess pieces inserts a bookmark, which apparently is all it takes to separate the bars. Either they're very flimsy when it comes to bookmarks, which would be completely in line with the Devil Fruit power, or that chess piece is uncommonly strong, which would also be in line with what's going on. Like, Luffy tries to tell Pudding that they went to the coast, but Nami stops him like, other people are listening here. Pudding apologizes for what her brothers and sisters would have had to have done to them, and whispered that she couldn't make it to the coast. Like, they're fine with that, but she does reveal, while Sanji is often in somewhere picking flowers for Pudding, Pudding reveals to them that Sanji proposed to her, and that it really made her happy, but she also knows he only did it because he's a kind man. Deep down, she can tell that she's the one that's screwing everything up. So don't worry, I won't be marrying Sanji. She leans in close, whispers something to them, something that leaves both Nami and Luffy just horribly shocked. And Luffy screaming out, "What are you saying?" And as she turns towards them with tears in her eyes, she simply says, "Goodbye." And that is where the chapter ends, and that has a whole lot of connotations here. Because I don't know what Pudding is thinking right here, because the obvious assumption would be that she's actually planning to actually kill herself. That is like the first thing that comes to mind in a situation like this, especially given Luffy and Nami's horrified reactions. On the other hand, it could be she's simply declaring her intention to go out to sea like Lola did, which, as they've just seen, which she may not realize but Luffy and Nami do, is basically the same thing as committing suicide. And you can really see, like, Sanji really is just trying to force himself here. Like, he's not happy about the situation, but he's at least content to get everybody out of there. But so he's just forcing out his own displeasure, his own problems with this. And in a way, it's almost like a good thing he has a silver in this case. At least he can focus on Pudding, and at least that'll give him like something to hang on to. But obviously, Pudding kind of realizes that he's like not into this. I do love, meanwhile, Pedro and Brooke, that part was freaking awesome. I didn't really get too much into it with what they were doing, but Pedro's basically like just attacking everybody left and right, running on the walls and ceilings, dropping bombs in the crowds of enemies. And then you have Brooke, basically just like, actually just like taking down the homies with the power of his soul. And there actually has been a lot of speculation about whether or not Brooke would be some kind of like Luffy and Enro like antithesis to Big Mom. Because his power is all about controlling his own soul, while Big Mom is all about distributing her own. So, yep. In fact, it occurred to me that I wonder now if the whole thing with Nami and the Vivre card was less about giving the Straw Hats a way to fight the homies, and more about setting up Brooke to have a way to fight the homies. Because had this come out of nowhere, I don't know if that would have been as effective. But we know it's possible. We know there are ways for it now by this point, and Brooke is a perfectly logical choice to be able to do that. So there you are. You know, also occurred to me though, going back to Pudding from what I said, we don't know if she's just going to flat out try to kill herself, try to run away, which is effectively the same thing, or even just up until Big Mom, no, I'm not doing this, which is again effectively the same thing. Because here's the crazy thing on this: like the children of Big Mom seem to be under the belief, like going by Lola and Pudding at least, and presumably others as well. They seem to think that because they're family, because she is their mother, she won't harm them. And it's clear that she does. Big Mom does at least care about her children, even if it's only as a means to an end. She's not mean or especially cruel to them unless they actually turn on her. But I don't think the kids themselves realize this fact, or at least maybe not the younger ones like Pudding or possibly Lola. Where is it? There's something else I wanted to go into here. Where was it? Dang it! I had a dot in my head. Now I can't remember what I did with it. It's actually kind of sad to watch Sanji like just forcing himself. Like he's clearly like deliberately trying to be all love cookie here. Oh, okay. I know where I was going to go now. Sorry. And a fourth option just occurred to me. What if she's going to tell Big Mom she wants to marry one of the other Vinsmokes? Because that would do it. Because that would, because in her own, because in a way that would be, that would be her doing pretty much what Sanji's doing, like sacrificing herself for everyone else's sake. Because everybody but Vince, but Judge at least, he would be not pleased with that at all. Because he deliberately chose Sanji because he was the least important one of his children. Still, like I have had this image of Pudding being like a spanner in the works this entire time, just for the sake of, um, like she has. I've been saying before now, like she has the potential to be the one who throws everything out of whack. How or why, I'm not quite sure yet, because obviously we've got, just on this alone, I've got like 4 different ideas. So this really could go any which way. Um, so until we have a little bit more to go on, and it looks like we're good next week. I don't see anything in here about a break coming, so we should be good next week. Actually, I'm thinking we'll probably be good for this month until holidays actually kick in, because they do take Christmas and New Year breaks. So, and you know what? That's fine. They do that. We do that, or we should do that. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and call it a review here. Like I said, do you think? But before I do, I'm going to point out, do. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, sorry, lost my train of thought there for a moment again. Like, do you think any of my theories are correct, or do you have something else entirely that Pudding might try and do? I mean, if you do hit me up in the comments, like I said, throw out your own ideas. I mean, I'll see if I can respond to them. And I almost forgot. I meant to mention this at the beginning of the video, but I'm using the fan translation. So there will be notes on the video before this point to note any significant differences between the official and the fan translation, or maybe just like, if there's like a big speech to notify that. Just give you the wording that Viz uses. Hey, actually, before I finish this off, I almost forgot. There's 2 things I wanted to bring up that I almost completely forgot about. Sorry to kind of fake you out on the ending here. And there's 2 things that kind of came into my mind here. One, if Pudding were to not go through with the marriage, what's stopping Big Mom, from just replacing her with another daughter? And that gave me the idea. I wonder if Pudding is the only single marriageable daughter Big Mom currently has. Like she has like 40 odd daughters, but what do you want to bet? Like all of them are either too young or too married. Because I just remember, like my original idea on this was like Pudding with when we first heard about Pudding was like she's gonna be like a kid just gonna give Sanji like a whole different way to screw him over on pretty girls liking him. So it could be just like an extension of that. Like we've seen the youngest daughter we've seen was that Anana girl, so with the knives. But what if Pudding is like actually like the next daughter up, or at least the oldest one that can be married? So again, that pretty much once again puts Pudding right in the smack of position of like really screwing this over. The second thing I wanted to bring up was an idea I'd had earlier this week. And it's like, obviously, after arcs we always have cover stories. We all That's like a common thing in One Piece. What would you think of a cover story based on Garama Double Six in the style of a newspaper comic strip? I mean, think about that. I mean, that they'd be prime material for a cover story either way, unless they get like just that badly smashed. And given their reputation, like given how their history is being represented in that comic strip, that would be a fun little way to mix things up a little bit. Because that's kind of what the cover stories are anyway, just like a little weekly little comic strip of what's going on elsewhere. Right. So, like I said, I just wanted to get that in there. I'm just going to kind of pop this in at the end of the video. Hope maybe trying to get that there. But either way, once again, this has been the typical manga review for One Piece 848. Goodbye. And once again, I say that to you as well. Goodbye until next week.